Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's parent session. My name is Caitlin Wilder. I'm a behavior analyst in the MNPS Behavior Support Team. We're in the Social Emotional Learning Department housed within the Department of Support Services. We provide individual support for students and teachers, but also for whole school buildings to help design and implement the changes like the ones we're going to talk about today. So with the return to in-person learning approaching for some, today we're going to discuss preparing for changes to learning both at home, at school, and in the virtual environment. The most important thing that we can stress is just discussing the changes that may be seen with your student and then practicing those changes at home. We want you to think about home routines and things that will be new and different for your student. Start practicing routines that may have been interrupted by virtual learning. That can include your bedtime routine, your sleep schedule, or your morning routine. Prepare your students for a return to standard school attire if that's applicable for your school. Please stress the importance of mask wearing. Students will be expected to wear masks for long periods of time. So if they aren't already used to that, please have them practice wearing a mask for a long time. We want you to stress new greetings, as students will be excited to see each other, but will be discouraged from touching, and to explain to your child ahead of time that there are going to be routines at school that are different than they were before. Changes at school. It'll help to talk through the changes that your students might experience. Changes are not the same at every school, so it's important to contact that student school to find out exactly what these procedures will be. Masks will be required except when eating or sometimes when outside. Social distancing practices will be in place, and the assigned spots that they have in line or in their classrooms will be more important than they have ever been. Students will have their own supplies, and sharing will be limited to decrease touching of common surfaces. Lunch will have fewer students in the cafeteria, possibly pre-packaged meals. Students will be socially distanced, and some students may eat in their classrooms instead. Keep in mind that after your student returns, there could be additional changes that are made by your student school, and encourage them to be flexible with these changes. Have your students bring a water bottle, as water fountains may not be available. Calm down areas or peace corners in classrooms may look different. Students may be encouraged to use new calm down strategies or to use those strategies at their individual desk space. Bus expectations will be different. Seats may be assigned. Social distancing protocols may be in place, and it's important that they follow those to keep everyone safe on the bus. Recess activities in space may be limited and be assigned. There will definitely be an increased need and time for hand sanitizing and hand washing protocols. If your child is remaining in virtual learning, or if it just isn't your child's turn to shift back to in-person learning based on their grade, there may be some other changes that you need to adjust to. Important to talk about those possible changes, and you can also take this time to evaluate your home learning setup. Talk with your child about why some of their friends are returning to school. Maybe your family has elected to continue virtual learning, so that could be one reason, or also it just may not be their turn to shift back to in-person learning based on their grade level. So you could let your student know when it will be their turn if they are returning later on. Prepare your child for teacher and classmate changes. Teachers will be reassigned to in-person or virtual learning, and then classes will have to be shifted, so it will look different than they did before. At this time, you can reevaluate your home learning environment and make any needed changes. You can consider the topics of our previous parent sessions that are located on the MNPS YouTube channel. So does your child have a designated workspace? And if so, do we need to make adjustments with that? Does your child need a schedule or some sort of assignment tracker? And is your child motivated to participate? Here are some strategies that we can recommend for you to use. Practice. Anytime you have a skill you haven't used in a while, or you have a new skill that you need to learn, practicing is always the most important thing that you can do. So some ideas are to drive by the school to show your child where they'll be picked up or dropped off. Sit down with your child and make a morning routine and talk about those changes. This goes not just for your morning routine, but really any routine that you want to establish. It's easier for children to learn these things if they're involved in the creation of them. Let them know that it's okay to be nervous or frustrated with changes, and that the adults at school are there to help them and support them. Most important strategy for us is just to be positive. If you're excited and positive about school, that your students will be excited also. There's so many changes that are happening for this and have been happening over the past few months, and that can be scary. So just remind the students of the things that they like about school, and that also these new changes at school are needed so that we can be safe, and following these is important because that means we'll be able to continue to remain in an in-person environment at school. Here are some books about returning to school. These are also available with read aloud options. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you have any questions, you can email us at familysupport@mmps.org.